Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Reading Between the Lines. I am your host, the Water Dog, and today I will be counting down my 10 favorite vampires from Sabbat. Oh, wow, brother. But before I do that, do me the kind favor of hitting that subscribe button. It means a whole lot to me. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you joining into this channel. The Sabbat came out in 1996. It was a follow-up to Ancient Hearts. It was a 410 card set. And of all of the sets at that particular time, of those first four sets that we're looking at, this one was my favorite. I really liked Sabbat. I liked it a lot. There was a lot of the vampires I just, are still some of my favorites today, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get to them. But I want to remind you, these are my favorites. These are not what I think are the best vampires. These are just the 10 vampires that, for whatever reason, ended up in more decks that I had played at the time. And that's just why I picked them. So let's start with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Ingrid Russo. And once again, Weenie Dominate for me, brother. Love me some Weenie Dominate. And Ingrid coming in at the 4 capacity. You got Superior Dominate and you got Fortitude. 2 disciplines right up my alley. And so she plays right into Weenie Dominate for me, and so that's why she was one of my favorites, man, because she did the work, she did the damage, man. She paid the bills, that's what she did. Coming in at number 9, very much like Smudge, I love Christine Buskaki. Let's hope I'm saying this right. Christine Buskaki, because she's a weenie, she's got that Dominate, and what's great about her is if you can get her out turn 1, you're bleeding with the Govern. And then after that, you can use her for deflect. So I used her not only in Weenie Dominate decks, but very much like Smudge, put her in as just a low cap vampire just to help with some defense. Once again, I don't mind losing a 2 cap vampire, especially if I can deflect, a 3 pull bleed, a 4 pull bleed, a 5 pull bleed, and get that sucker to bounce. She's worth every penny to me. And that's one of the reasons why I love putting her into a deck. That small capacity, being able to bounce, as well as playing her in a Weenie Bleed deck is just valuable. Coming in at the 8th slot, combat deck, brother, Sella, Bruja and Titchabrew, baby. And what is good about her is not only does she have the superior potence, but she's got a +1 bleed. And so with the presence, what's great about her is, of course, then you can social charm bleed, and you're bleeding for 3 with her, and then if you get into combat, well, then you can defend yourself, and so that makes it really, really nice. That's why Stella was a really, really good vampire, especially at the cost. 6 capacity, you can't go wrong. At the 7th spot, Jacko. Jacko, good combat vampire. He gets an optional additional strike during the first round of combat. This does not count against his additional strikes for that round. And so you get 2 strikes, and then you can still play an additional strike card. It's just, so good. It's just so good. Great combat vampire. Put him in there with a lot of Jimmy Dunn decks that I had built at the time. And just a good vampire, solid combat. All those, Bruja disciplines, that superior. The downside, I don't think he really needed the Obtenebration. It's a nice ability. I kind of wish this would have been at a 7 cap. 7 cap with those 3 disciplines. It would have been. But he's still a great vampire. I love Jacko. Coming at the 6th spot, Malkavians were really, really, really strong, and that those early Malkavian and Titchabrews, powerful demontation. Of those, Cora was my favorite. And that is because you're talking about a 7 cap that has all 3 of the disciplines that you want for your Malkavian. You've got the bleed, you got the obfuscate, and you got a bounce with the superior aspects. But then here's the other luxury is having that Priscus, getting that 3 votes and being able to balance against another Priscus. But having that 3 votes, she can become a tool in a vote deck. But she is a great bleed machine. And then, of course, you're able to unlock with her, and then, telepath misdirection with her. Really, really good vampire. Of the Malkavians, I think I played her probably more and consistently when I was playing those Malkavian bleed decks and stuff. Really good vampire. Once again, I talked about this before. The 7 caps in these early sets are, to me, the most useful of the vampires overall. because they pretty much, almost all of them got those 3 superior disciplines. They got some sort of vote tech that kind of helps you, and so they're just good vampires. Going into the number 5 spot, we got Lachlan Nodist. Of the Toreador and Titchabrew, he was my favorite. He's the Archbishop of Chicago, so you got the title. You've got all 3 of the superior disciplines. You've also got to dominate a discipline on him. And he's just a great blocker. He's just a great blocker because you can put those things like the Eternal Vigilance and stuff like that on him. Unlock. You can then, bounce bleed if you need to. You've got plenty of maneuvers. He was really good with a gun. 44 Magnums. To me, 44 Magnums with Toreador and Titchabrew was actually better than 44 Magnums with Toreador. For whatever reason, I just like some of the other cards that kind of went there. I liked a lot of the Sabbat cards at the time. And so, I played some Toreador, but if I had to say which one I was playing more Toreador and Titchabrew by far and away. More Sabbat vampires of the Toreador clan. And Lachlan of those Toreador was my favorite. I played him a lot. You can't go wrong at the number 4 spot. Ian Forstall, great card text here. He can play cards of any discipline as though he had the basic level of that discipline. Master discipline cards played on him grant him the superior level of that discipline. And so 8 cap, you've got 3 superior disciplines: dominate, aspects, thaumaturgy. Okay, so you can block obedience, you can govern down, and then of course you can put him into any deck and play those basic level disciplines and stuff like that. So he was a very versatile vampire that didn't have to play specifically in a clan. So you could put him in a lot of different decks and utilize him. But at the 8 cap, having those 3 superior disciplines were really, really good. Coming into the number 3 spot is Lavernius, Thrall of Lambach. Man, what a really good combat vampire. Oh my goodness gracious. What a good combat vampire. +2 hand damage. And you're the Archbishop, so you're going to be able to use some of those, Fraternal Vigilance, siege cards and stuff like that that come out later and everything else. But you've got superior aspects, okay, superior potence. You've got superior dominate. So if you wanted to play him to obedience and deflect, you could, but with superior potence and +2 hand damage and that inferior protean, this was a vampire meant to burn vampires. That's exactly what he was. He was a vampire meant to burn vampires. And so one of my favorite ways to play him was with unflinching persistence, because unflinching persistence gives you a maneuver at with superior fortitude and prevents the damage. And so you could always grapple with him. You could always grapple. So, you could put like 8 to 9 unflinching persistences in the deck. And then of course, you're going to always make sure that you're close. At worst, if you don't need the maneuvers, then you're just using it for the prevent. He was such a good vampire, such a really good combat vampire. And that's what you did. You just used him to beat up. And then you got that inferior protean, and so all of a sudden, if you need the ag to do the burn, you burn them. Good combat vampire. Really, really good combat vampire. And like I said, I used to play a lot of one vampire decks where I was just playing with one guy, and that's all I really cared about, just having fun with one guy. He was one of those guys. Because one of the good things about Fortitude and the Freak Drive was your ability to unlock and take several actions. So you could take several actions with Avernus. But the other thing is that you could also block with it, because with that superior aspects, that was really, really good. Your backup defense mechanism is the superior dominate to deflect. So a really, really good vampire. Number 2, man, you talk about just supreme, brother. Lafayette, when I learned to play out in Lafayette with Norm Brown and those guys, man, Jimmy Dunn, just really good. Because Jimmy Dunn's ability cannot be contested. If a second Jimmy comes into play, burn the first Jimmy in play instead of contesting him. You got a superior celerity, you got superior potence, and you got inferior fortitude. The guy is tailor-made to just go crush vampires. Got the 4 capacity spot. And hey man, You got him beat up, just bring out another. And that also helps you with your crypt cycling too. That was another good thing about him, was the ability to cycle your crypt with him if you needed to. Okay, you didn't have to get hamstrung. So if somebody does send him to the topor, it's not like that hurts you either. Because at the 4 cost, man, that's just such a good cost. What a good vampire. He's one of my all-time favorites. I love Jimmy Dunn, but he doesn't beat my number one, because my number one, when we started our one vampire format, this was the first vampire I played in the one vampire format. And brother, we're talking about Callie. Callie and Nosferatu and Titchbrew, Tin Cap, Sabbat, Bishop of Detroit. He's just a beast. At the beginning of each round of combat, Callian can set the range for that round. If he does so, skip the established range. My favorite thing with Callian is Sewer Lid. I used to love Sewer Lid, man. Because back in the day, a lot of people didn't play with a whole lot of ends combat. They really didn't. They didn't play with a whole lot of it. And because they didn't play with a whole lot of it, Thrown Sewer Lid were really, really good. Because then you can get the press. So you're setting the range, and then you're just on the sewer lid, on the sewer lid, on the sewer lid. Just a lot of fun playing that way. So to me, there was 2 cards that's in the deck: Carrion Crows and Thrown Sewer Lid. So unlike Crows and Bats, with him, you're going to play Crows and Sewer Lid, and you just go crazy. Inferior Dominate. If you need to bounce, bleed, or something like that, you absolutely can. If you want to vote with him, you've got some presence. If you need to get out of a combat with presence, you still got a Majesty. Just a great fun vampire. Like I said, he's a great one vampire deck. I love this set because, 2 of my favorite vampires to play one vampires with, him and Lasvernius, they're just so good. The Thrall of Lambach, and Callian, 2 good vampires to play one vampire with. And I love playing that style just for fun and giggles and stuff. And so that's why he's my favorite. Brother, that's all I got time for. Do me a favor in the comments section. Put down your 10 favorite vampires from Sabbat. We can have a discussion, brother. Hey, man, that's all I got time. Y'all take care.